All right, so I was finally able to jump into the Arc Raiders playtest, and it wasn't because I got a code or anything. It was because Crazy Mr. Pips was a great guy and ended up giving me a code, which was extremely nice of him. He didn't have to do that, but I am tremendously grateful because this has been a game that I've looked forward to for quite a while because I'm a big fan of the extraction shooter genre, as I will go over in just a moment. And when this game decided to go extraction shooter after it was announced so long ago, it piqued my interest quite a bit, so I've been eager to play this game. But anyways, what I wanted to do is I wanted to give you a full detailed breakdown of what Arc Raiders is, talk about all the systems involved, and more importantly, determine if it's actually as good as people have been talking about and whether it's going to be worth your money when it eventually releases. Anyways, let's jump into it. So in order to understand exactly where I'm coming from when I'm analyzing this game in terms of my overall gaming experience, I just wanted to give you a brief idea of things that I've played in the past so you can see kind of what I'm looking at when I'm analyzing a game like this, which is trying to take so many different elements and put it into one. So I have over 1,200 hours in Escape from Tarkov. I have thousands of hours in games like Helldivers 2, the Division franchise, Destiny franchise, and many other games in that similar type genre. I also have 5 to 6 years of in-game time in World of Warcraft, which I played a total of like 8 years or so. So while I am not as seasoned as some of these other streamers that have tens of thousands of hours in some of these games, I do have a lot of experience and a lot of understanding of what these games should be like and what they should be doing. So I can pretty well determine whether a game is going to succeed or not based on my overall experience. So what the hell even is Arc Raiders? So Arc Raiders is a PvP VE extraction shooter set in a future post-apocalyptic style area called the Rust Belt. Essentially, you go into a map either solo or with a squad, you loot, you face off against other players and or the AI if you so choose, and you basically want to survive and escape with whatever loot you want to get out with. And more importantly, there are some progression systems in the game, from questing to talent trees to unlocking various battle passes. You also get a workshop where you can craft resources, weapons, consumables, and all variety of other things. And you also have a full trader hub as well to be able to trade and buy things as you need. And there are just so many other things that are more involved with this game that we're going to go over right now in the full breakdown section. All right, so talking about general progression, talent trees, currencies, and the battle passes. So starting off with the leveling system first, it's really straightforward. Essentially, you do things like quests, you complete in-game actions such as looting, killing AI, killing other players, and extracting, and you will level up over time. And there is a mastery system also in the game. It's not working properly at this time, so I'm not sure exactly what rewards we're going to be getting from that. Some of them are Raider tokens you can see here, but we'll see how this ends up panning out in the long run. But through leveling up, you do gain skill points. Now you gain 1 skill point per level up. So there are 3 different skill trees at this time. There's conditioning, mobility, and survival. You can dabble in these skill trees as you wish. So if you want to go down the conditioning route, then pick up some things in survival, you can. Now it's unsure exactly how many levels we're going to get and how many skill points we're going to have. So there is that, and these skill points during the playtest were not refundable, so that is something to keep in mind as well, whether they will actually make them refundable when the game actually comes out. So you can pick up quests from the traders. They're very similar to other games of this genre where you can earn XP, you can earn items, you can earn weapons, you can earn other various things like that from completing these quests outside of just getting XP. You can also complete daily challenges, which will award you a currency called cred, and cred is used to buy things from these battle passes that you can see on screen right now. So talking about the different currencies first, you have coins, which are used to be able to buy things from the traders and can be earned from selling things or earning them through quests. From creds, again, like I mentioned, you can earn these through the daily challenges, but they are used to, again, buy things from the battle pass. And then lastly, you have Raider tokens, which are used to purchase the battle passes and also other cosmetics within the game. Now, all of these currencies are completely earnable in game, but I imagine when the game releases, they're going to have some sort of way to at least buy things like Raider tokens or even cred. I'm not really sure exactly how that's going to work, but we will see what they end up doing with that. So the battle passes operate very similarly to how they do in Helldivers 2. So basically in Helldivers 2, you can pretty much purchase whichever battle pass or whichever war bond you want, and in this game is no different. Now these battle passes are full of currencies in terms of Raider tokens. You have cosmetics as well. You have different consumables like grenades, like stims or anything like that, or any other things you can use to upgrade your characters, which is cool. Now I'm not sure how it's going to be when the game fully releases, but at this time it is very, very slow to level up these battle pass things. So we'll see how it ends up being, but at this current time it is very, very slow overall. So currently at this time we do have 5 in-game traders. We have one that we don't have access to or things that are in there at this moment. I It looks like this is going to be maybe like a trade type system thing. We'll see what that ends up being. We also have one that gives us resources we can buy, and also buy the keys for being able to take some of the extractions on the map. We have one that actually provides us ammo, weapons, weapon mods, and things of that nature. We have one that gives us consumables such as grenades and such as like things that give us map traversal like zip lines and things of that nature. And then lastly, we have a medic one that will give us stims, bandages, shield rechargers, and also will give us some shield upgrades if we want to upgrade our shield and whatnot. So pretty self-explanatory. We do have a full workshop that is expandable with up to 8 different stations, and yes, there is a rooster in this game for us to be able to use as well, but we'll talk about that more in a moment. So these benches can range from things like we have the basic workbench, which will give us things like we can craft weapons, we can craft ammo, we can craft these augments that will expand our backpack size and various things like that. We also have the workbench, which allows us to upgrade our weapons. We can craft some more unique weapons that are different and higher rarities. We can also craft weapon attachments, which will allow us to make our weapons even better. And then we also have things like the utility bench, which will allow us to craft consumables that are more utility consumables. And then we also have the med station that will allow us to craft our own medical supplies. And there are some other workstations as well that I do not have crafted, like the explosive bench, the equipment bench, and the refinery. So that is one thing there. All of these stations are also upgradable, so you can level them up. I'm not sure exactly what the maximum level for all these stations are, but we will find out when we're actually to level them all up. But they're just basically upgraded with resources that you find within the game. And then you can also track the resources you need for a set item, or even for the things that you need to level up. You can track these, and when you find them in game, it will say that you need this item to upgrade your workbench or to craft this particular item if you would like as well, which is pretty cool. There's also a quick crafting recipe menu here as well for things you can find in game, because you can find crafting recipes in game as well. And talking about the rooster for a minute, so the rooster does have a good purpose. Basically, this is going to be a collection tool for you. So while you're in a raid, you will come out and then there'll be more resources for you to claim like this. And then this can go up to this level right here, and you can train the rooster to find different leveling rarities of items. I assume I didn't get a chance to really level this up, but essentially that's how it works, is it will be a fetch thing. Now you will get a certain amount every time you come out of a raid, and this will cap out at a certain point, so you will need to claim these quite often, so that way they don't max out and you're continuing to earn the resources from the rooster. All right, so taking a look at inventory management, it is pretty self-explanatory. If you've played a game like this, we do have a stash that has quite a few slots, but it's actually pretty small overall, and they should be expanding it here in the future, I assume. But it is really easy to navigate the stash when you're using mouse and keyboard. You can just control click, very similar to games like Tarkov, which is very nice. So you can just drag things over and they will go in their associated spots, which is very easy. You can unload redundant things within your backpack or your loadout if you want by pressing one button. It will take those things out of your inventory, which is very nice. If you have things split up in your inventory, you can press one button and be able to condense all the stacks of said item, which is nice as well. There are plenty of filtering options to be able to filter through things like shields, weapons, ammo, in terms of quick use things, keys, or whatever you would like as well. From the stash, you have the ability to be able to recycle things. You have the ability to be able to sell things. With the weapons, you can actually repair them. You can upgrade them from the loadout section or within the stash as well. All right, so jumping into custom loadouts and free loadouts, because free loadouts are a thing. So we do have Raider augments, which basically will have different effects. I assume that we're going to get more varieties of these when the game does come out. So basically this one that I have, for example, it will expand my backpack slots, as you can see right here on the right side of the screen. And then it's also going to reduce the amount of safe pocket slots that I have. So there is a side effect to every augment. So if I put it on, I have 2 safe pocket slots now, and I do have more expanded backpack slots. So it depends on what you're trying to do in the game. It will actually be dependent on which augment you're going to bring in. Now there are different rarities of this. I've seen some people have more consumable slots while having more backpack slots and having no safe pocket slots, or some variation of that. There's different variations of augments that we're going to have in the game. We also have shields, and there are different rarities of shields. We do have light, medium, and heavy shields. Now depending on the augment you're using, you can actually not take certain kinds. So essentially, if you are wearing the green one, you can only bring up to medium shields, and if you're wearing the blue, I assume you're going to be able to bring in the heavier shields and whatnot. So there is some limitations there. Now depending on the level of shield, is pretty self-explanatory. You will take less damage. Now some of the other shields that you can get from the clinic, which is the heavier shield, you will take less damage in terms of more mitigation, but you will have 15% less speed, which is a side effect of that as well. But there is a perk in the talent tree right here called used to the weight. where wearing a heavier shield does not slow you down as much. So there is some offsets there when you are thinking about shields as well. Jump into some other details of the loadout system. So you can carry 2 weapons at any time. There is a weight system, so you need to keep that in mind. You can carry up to 6 consumables or more depending on your augment. Now the augment can also expand your weight limit, so there is that as well. So one saving grace is that when you do die, if you have anything in the safe pockets, it's completely protected. So for example, if I put this key in there and I bring it in, it's completely protected if I happen to die. Very similar to Escape from Tarkov with the safe container system, so that's actually a very nice added thing as well. So if I'm in raid and I find something valuable that I need for my workshop, I'm just going to pop it in the safe pocket slot and be able to extract with it whether I live or die. Now there is a free loadout system, and basically you're given a randomized kit of a shield of some kind, an equipment item, backpack, quick use slot, and then also you aren't given any safe pockets or augments to avoid people abusing them. So essentially this is a way to be able to play the game risk-free if you want to just warm up, or if you want to go into a challenge mode where you're trying to kill teams with very limited arsenal. So there is that, which is pretty cool overall, so that way you don't feel like you're always having to use your best stuff all the time if you don't want to. All right, so talking about the different weapons, we do have quite a few different variations of weapons. We have assault rifles, we have SMGs, we have shotguns, we have sniper rifle type single shot things. I think there's also a mag reload sniper as well. I didn't get a chance to play with it, but there's a wide variety of different weapons. These weapons also have different ammo types. We have light, medium, heavy, and even shotgun, so there is that as well. Now these weapons also can be upgraded, like I mentioned, from the workbench. You can upgrade them. As you can see, this AR I have right now is a level 3 AR, and it does get some bonuses that you can see on the screen. Basically, I get 8+ magazine size, and I get 46 reduced durability burn rate, which is nice. Whereas this level 1 assault rifle, the Kettle, does not have any bonus stats as well. And again, in the weapons themselves, there are some varying stats as well, and depending on what attachments you put on them, they will have different recoil controls. Like this assault rifle, for example, the Rattler can have 3 different attachments, from a muzzle mod to a underbarrel mod to a stock mod, to be able to increase recoil control. And I imagine there'll be some suppressors in the game as well that you can put on these weapons, which is great. And then you also have some that have a light magazine mod to be able to expand the magazine size of the weapon as well. Now, weapon durability is a thing, so you will need to repair weapons. As you can see on screen, basically you're going to enter the repair screen, you're going to press E or whatever the associated thing is, and you're going to be able to repair the weapon up to a certain point with coins. So there is that as well. So now it's back up to 100%, which means it's back to doing maximum damage. So the type of armor you wear does not give you any bonuses. It's all cosmetic only. Where the true bonuses come from is the light shields, like I mentioned before in the loadout section. Essentially, again, there are 3 different rarities of it. There's light, there's medium, and there's heavy. So these will actually give you the mitigation differences that you're looking for. All right, so talking about equipment and consumables in the game, we have far too many to go over in detail, so we're just going to go over the highlights. So we have grenades, we have medical, and we have map traversal. So talking about grenades first, we have our run-of-the-mill grenades that will do some moderate damage. We have the heavier grenades, which will do more damage at a wider radius. We have smoke grenades, we have stun grenades, we have gas grenades, all sorts of things in between, and even mines. For the map traversal, which I feel like is the most interesting, we have things like zip lines, we have a grapnel hook, which is really, really cool. I've seen quite a few people use, and I feel like that's probably the most interesting category right now in the game. For medical, it's pretty self-explanatory. We have bandages or things like that will heal you over time. We have stim shots, which will allow you to heal over time. I think there's one that heals over time, but there's definitely one for sure that will give you more stamina and will increase your stamina regen. We have shield rechargers, we have defibrillators that will allow you to be able to revive your teammates faster, and the list goes on. There are just so many different types of things in the game for all these categories. So taking a look at the maps, the lobbies, and how the squad system works in the game. So currently in the playtest, we only have 3 maps. There will obviously be more maps once the game comes out. These maps do have night versions of them. So example being the spaceport one, I can actually go into the night raid as well. And the night raids are really immersive and actually very cool, which is awesome as well. Each map has different unique modifiers. Like for example, right now, this one has uncover caches, which will give you more resources. There are large bosses that can spawn on any of these maps as well, which are very intimidating and quite ridiculous and will cause teams to play quite a bit differently. You can also see that they will tell you what type of loot is more prominent within this map. So for example, like this Buried City map is more residential, commercial, and has more medical supplies, whereas the spaceport has more electrical and technology type resources on this map, which I feel like is a really cool detail that they added that little bit of information. So when you're going into a game, you can actually either go in solo, you can come in with your pre-made squad of duos or trios, and you can fill in your squad in between because there is a squad fill system. So if you're a solo and you want to bring in 2 more people, you can match up with 2 other people. If you're a duo and want to bring in 1 more person, you can do that as well. Which is great. Now, the one thing I do understand is that what they're trying to do is when the game fully releases, they are going to say if you're a solo, they're going to match you with more solo focused players, whereas if you're a squad, they're going to match you with squad-based players. So that is a cool little thing as well they're going to be adding to the game. Now, when you're in game, you can communicate with your squad in a couple of different ways. Obviously, if you go with a pre-made squad, you can use things like Discord, but if you are in game and using the in-game functions, you can communicate within just your team, or you can use proximity voice chat if you want to use proximity voice chat to communicate with other teams and whatnot as well. Now, one side note is that you can bring in items into the game for your friends for like the workshop and whatnot. If they need some particular item to upgrade a part of their workshop, they can do that. I'm not sure what the limitations are on this, if there are any limitations in terms of you can't bring in gear or something like that, but at this time I know you can bring in some stuff for your friends if you wanted to as well. All right, so that's all the stuff that's outside of the game, the systems and whatnot that's in the game in terms of the hub and whatnot. So let's talk about how the game actually works when you're actually playing the game. So in terms of general performance, the system I was running the game on was a 7800X 3D with a 4080 GPU, so the game looked freaking amazing whenever I was actually playing it. The visuals are stunning. The game actually ran fairly well for being a playtest. I had very little hitches and stutters. There was only a couple that I can remember that were of note, but for the most part, it ran very, very well considering that this was only supposed to be a playtest. In terms of matchmaking, it didn't really take that long to join a match, whether I was solo or a squad, which was fine. I actually did appreciate that it only took a few minutes, which was great. Now, you can be dropped into the map at any time, which is kind of weird. So you can either drop in at the very beginning, you can drop in midway through the raid, which is kind of odd, but again, it is something that happens in the game. So taking a look at the HUD, the overall inventory management while you're playing the game, and the in-game map that you have, if you're used to playing the Division or Apex to a lesser degree, you're going to be very familiar with this HUD. It's pretty self-explanatory with an HP bar, and you also have an armor pool that's right above the HP bar to the left, and you have all of your weapon slots, including your quick consumable slots over there on the right side. Now, inventory management on mouse and keyboard feels very snappy. I haven't really tried it much with controller, but I've heard a few people say it is kind of clunky when you're using a controller. Now, the good thing is that if you're used to the control left click type looting like from Escape from Tarkov, you're going to feel right at home because it's actually very nice to be able to just control left click things in and out of your inventory as needed. You can quickly swap between quick slot consumable items similar to something like an Elder Scrolls game where you get this control wheel that pops up and you can just choose which one you want at will, which is very nice. Searching things for the most part feels fairly fast. It doesn't feel very cumbersome. Now, you can make a lot of noise by prying things open and whatnot, which is pretty risky, but overall there is a lot of good searching things in the game and there is a lot of loot on the map to be able to get, which is great. You can actually craft things in game as well. So if you find some resources on the map like fabric or something like that to be able to craft bandages, you can do that as well. You get a full detailed map laying out high loot spots, public extractions, key extraction locations, meaning extractions that you can take if you have brought a key in, and many other things. So combat is done primarily in third person. There are some weapon attachments like scopes that you can put on some weapons in the game that will allow you to ADS down sight in first person. So there is that, but most of the combat is going to be done in third person. And the cover peep mechanics, such as you being able to put your character against a wall and like peek around a wall by turning your body, all those weird third person things are at play with this game as well if you are used to playing things like the Division or anything like that. So the time to kill feels fine overall. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. You can kill people pretty quickly. You can visibly see when people like lose their shields, for example. I think this is very similar to something like Apex, as well as when somebody's downed or killed off, meaning they can't come back. There is a red flare that shoots up, signaling in the sky to other players that someone has died here, which is actually a very interesting effect overall. The weapons while you're in game feel fine. There's nothing really crazy about them. They're kind of sluggish depending on the weapon you have. If you upgrade them or if you give them certain attachments, they will feel a little bit more snappy. So there is that. Now, there are some weapons that do feel a lot stronger than others, meaning like the shotguns, for example, are incredible in PvP and will destroy people very quickly. However, the shotguns are not as good against the AI, and things that are more of the one-shot weapons are better against the AI when in the game. So there are some give and takes with the weapons, but in general, overall, the weapons feel great. whether you're using an upgrade or not. Movement in the game actually feels pretty fast overall, a lot faster than I thought it was going to be. You can actually do things like slide, jump, and dodge, which is pretty cool. Now, if you slide downhill or downstairs, you will go extremely fast and can slide for a long period of time. It can work to your advantage or actually get you killed if you're not ready for it. You can dodge out of the way, and you can actually do actions while you're dodging out of the way, which is very nice as well. Jumping and mantling feels very similar to the Division. It's a little bit clunky and slower depending on what you're trying to get up to, but you can actually get up to certain areas very easily. I don't know if this is going to change, but fall damage is very minimal in this game. I've fallen off of huge buildings, and yes, I take half damage, but I should have probably died right there, and I just heal myself and keep going. So it is actually a good strategy to just, if you're being chased, just jump off a building, and you can actually roll and offset some of the damage as well, which is pretty interesting as well. There are zip lines throughout the map giving you quick access to escapes or being able to access high ground very easily. Now, again, like I mentioned before, you can bring in consumable zip lines that you can actually mount wherever you want. It's pretty flexible into where you can do it, creating new accessible areas that you couldn't normally get to, which is actually pretty great as well. And there is a grapple hook that allows you to traverse the map very quickly. I haven't had a chance to get my hands on it, but I've seen people use it, and they're flying around like Batman essentially. It's pretty ridiculous. And then lastly, there is a shoulder swap mechanic as well. I didn't really know where to put that in terms of in the categories, but I'm going to put it here, and essentially you can just shoulder swap and peek around corners and things like that as well. So as for the enemies, first and foremost, basically you're going to have to deal with the other players on the map of varying squad sizes. Now, again, like I mentioned before, when the game fully releases, and it wasn't like that to my understanding during this playtest, when you are going in solo or with a certain number of squad members, you will be matched up with people who are in similar situations. So that way, if you're going solo, you're going to face more solo players, so there is that as well. Now, again, you can VoIP at players when they're in game, so if you want to team up with people, or if you want to tell them, hey, let's extract together or whatever, you can coordinate with other people if you want to as well. There is a second element when you're on the maps to take into consideration, meaning there are ARC enemies, there are AI enemies on the map, and they do have varying levels of resources that you need to upgrade your hideout. So you can choose to engage these enemies if you want, but you can completely avoid them as well. They can actually also be engaging other players, and you can third party and take out other players as well. So there is that. Now, there are different leveling variations of these enemies. You got some that are seeker drones that will alert other drones nearby. You got ones that are flying around with turrets. You got other turrets on the map that are mounted. You have these massive walking spiders, and there's all sorts of other different things as well that you could go against with these AI units. So as for extracting, it's pretty simple. You have two different types of extraction types. You have public extractions, and you have extractions that you can only access with Raider hatch keys. So the public extractions are honestly very loud and hotly contested. I very rarely went to a public extraction without there being someone else there. I've usually VoIPed them and been able to extract together, or I've accidentally killed them because I wasn't paying attention, because the kill mode just went into action there. But if you are on the extraction, I believe that you do extract with your items anyway, so there is that. But yeah, these things are pretty hotly contested. Now, the key ones are actually very nice because you can just bring a key in, keep it in your safe slot, and be able to extract through one of the manholes or whatever on the map to be able to extract a whole lot safer, which is nice as well. There's also an in-game map that shows you your journey, meaning what you found, if you got into fights, how you died, who killed you, and all those various things like that. Shows pathing and everything, which is pretty cool as well. Also shows you how much you earned in terms of the amount of value of the items you picked up, as well as the weight of the items and whatnot, which is cool. And then lastly, it shows off the total XP you earned for the encounter as well, whether you live or died. All right, so getting into the more subjective part of this review and kind of overview for this game, I want to get into the good, the needs work, and the ugly about this game. So just starting off with the good first, this game is just flat out fun. I had a blast. I didn't get to play it a ton of hours, which was kind of frustrating, but for the hours I did play, I really enjoyed myself, whether it was solo or a squad filled or whatever in between. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. It's fun. The simplicity is nice because of the fact that I don't have to worry about getting a wiki or something like that to figure out exactly what's going on. But if you are coming from a game like Tarkov where the systems are more nuanced and there's a lot of stuff going on, you're not going to get quite as bored as I thought I would get, because there are enough interesting things going on to keep you interested as well. So they picked this good medium of simplicity with also creating some complex systems as well. Everybody's talked about it, but the sound design in this game is absolutely insane. I want to play a little bit of that for you right now. But yeah, you can hear how immersive it is, from all the little tiny sounds, from the raindrops to the sounds the enemies are making to just everything. You feel so immersed in the game. And that's the other thing too about this game that's a good, is you're so immersed in the atmosphere and what's going on because of the sound design, because of the way the maps are laid out, because of what's going on in terms of the risk and the reward factor of how the extraction games work. I was just so immersed when I was locked into this game. I didn't want to get out of the particular encounters I was in. So map traversal is very cool. I was actually very surprised with how they decided to do it. I think the grab no hook is going to be something that's going to be very popular whenever the game comes out, as well as the zip lines are going to be very popular as well to bring in, to be able to get into other areas of the map that you wouldn't normally get to, as well as I do like how quick you can move around. You can move around faster without your weapons unequipped, which is nice as well. And then also inventory management is great in and out of the game. I really did enjoy how snappy it was, especially on mouse and keyboard. It felt really nice as well. And then combat in general felt nice. It didn't feel like everybody had like a significant advantage. Now you got to deal with things such as like people camping in bushes, people camping extracts, or any type of other extraction shooter things, but that comes with the genre. That's not really that big of a deal and things you can avoid. But in terms of when you're actually fighting people, one-on-one combat, the only downside I would say here, and this is kind of jumping into the needs work area, is that with the combat, there are some weapons in terms of the shotgun that are definitely very much stronger than the rest of the weapons, so they will need to do some tweaking there. But for the most part, I did enjoy the combat in the game overall. And then lastly, for the good, the workshop is very interesting. I did appreciate the fact that they didn't overcomplicate it, but they did allow us to upgrade and get some variations for the workshop. It wasn't just some boring thing that they added in. I did appreciate that they put some thought and detail with it, which is great, and I can't wait to fully expand it and figure out what the best way to use it in the future is going to be in the game. So talking about some of the things that I feel like need work, so I do think that they need to actually make some things stack a little bit better, and they also need to make stack sizes a little higher within the stash, so that way you can hold more things, because it doesn't make sense to have multiple of things like that. So hopefully they fix that as well. Battle pass progression is way too slow. I hope that they tweak this before the full launch of the game, because right now it takes way too long to level up the things for the battle pass, which is kind of annoying. One of the things they need to fix that I really don't enjoy is the fact that you can come into raids at any time. It's not really your choice. You just kind of get dropped into a raid, whether it be the beginning or halfway through the raid. This can work to your advantage, meaning you spawn behind other players, or it can work in your disadvantage where people are spawning behind you, which is very annoying because you're like moving around the map, you've done everything right, you checked your corners, then somebody spawns behind you because of the way the game works. So I don't really like that. I feel like it should be the raid starts and that's it. There should be nobody spawning in between, so that definitely needs some work. Weapon swapping is way too slow. I don't like how slow it is, especially depending on the weapon. Now there are some perks within the weapons I've seen that can actually make the weapon swap faster, but it'd be nice to have like a perk within the game in terms of in the talent tree that makes weapon swap faster. I didn't see one, but if they just need to make it more accessible earlier, or just in general increase the weapon swap speed overall. So when you're on the main screen, the UI feels very, very cluttered, and I don't like it. I've never liked that when I'm jumping into games. It's like there's just so much information, like Discord and this and that, and I'm not sure if that's just for the playtest, but I hope that they minimize the amount of things on the screen, because I just don't like that when there's so much going on when I log into the game. I would love for there to be a social area outside of just some random picture with all the vendors on it. That's just so boring. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything massive, but can I just spawn in, see some other players maybe I can interact with, and just walk around to the various vendors? I mean, I don't think that that's big of it, that big of a deal. Maybe it's something they're never going to add in, but I don't know. I just feel like just having a picture with the vendors to be able to choose from is very, very boring and kind of lifeless in my opinion. And in general, the game needs some slight optimization stuff. Yes, again, like I mentioned before, the game ran pretty well overall for being a playtest. There's some stuttering and things like that they need to iron out, some graphical issues they need to iron out, and some small things. So in general, that's just some things that's pretty commonplace for being a playtest. So as for the ugly, I hate to say it, but there's not much that's just ugly that's not fixable. Like usually when I think of ugly things, it's like a long-term issue with the game that I don't think they're gonna be able to fix or anytime soon. And honestly, a lot of the things that I've listed above that need work are easily fixable before 1.0, so nothing really comes to mind. So I guess my one ugly thing, if I want to call it that, is I'm concerned about the game long-term with how it's going to be received, because I feel like the game is not quite complicated enough for the Tarkov crowd, but I don't feel like it's quite easy enough for some of the people that are maybe loosely into extraction shooters. I feel like if you like extraction shooters, or if you like the Dark Zone in the Division, or if you liked DMZ or things like that, maybe you're probably gonna like this a lot. But if you're hardcore into Tarkov, you're probably gonna get like a good 1,000 to 2,000 hours out of this, and once you max out everything, you're probably gonna get bored because it doesn't have like a ton of replayability from what I'm seeing so far. So I don't know. I mean, like, I feel like this game is gonna be good for that middle ground audience, but in terms of long term for some of the more hardcore fans, I don't know. I mean, like, that's the one thing I would nitpick and say that I'm unsure with what the long-term reception of the game is going to be. But initially, this game is going to pop off. It's going to do very, very well right out of the gate. I can see it. It's very polished already. I wouldn't be surprised if they release this early because it is very good, or just shadow drop this because it is very, very good overall. But all right, that is my full detailed breakdown of Arc Raiders and all the systems involved, and just my general thoughts and concerns leading into the launch of the game. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found some value out of it, because I really did enjoy my time with Arc Raiders, and I'm fully looking forward to the 1.0 launch and covering this game in as much detail as I can. So anyways, guys, I will catch you in the next video. Peace.